What? Why didn't it go farther?
Always remember, slow is smooth and smooth is far.
The OG form guru Danny Lindahl always used to say that. Slow is smooth and smooth is far. And today we're going to test if that's actually true. I'm here at one of the most popular courses in Denmark called Mumhøj. And for once, this is not actually about score or anything, but rather testing whether or not everything will be smoother and more accurate if we actually go slower. There's a very specific reason behind me wanting to test this out, but let's get into that as we go, because hole one is right here, and let's just smooth a little forehand out there. Put it a little bit too low there, I think. Might be in the water, but it's definitely not OB. Look at this place. It's supposed to be like a little lake inside of those white stakes. There's even a disc out there. But it's all just flooded. Fortunately, we stayed in bounds. I could probably putt it there, but since we're trying to be slow and smooth and controlled today, I'm just gonna go for a little backhand. Okay, a little left. That's a par and one, but who's counting anyways? With this experiment, I'm obviously really curious to see whether we're losing distance or gaining distance by going slower. But another really important part, and I think that I believe will be much easier, is angle control. So because of that, we're gonna go with the backhand here. We're going to the second basket up there in the corner, like 90 meters. I'm gonna try and do like a big turning shot here, big anhyzer with my Pacific. See if I can get it on a slight anhyzer to begin with, to make sure that it doesn't fade out into the lake over there. Let's focus on being slow and controlled here. Okay, that's actually a really good shot. Would have liked a little bit more height, just to not challenge the Christmas trees like I did, but hey, we're like 7 meters, that was pretty good. Pretty good. Oh yes, that'll do. If you haven't gotten a birdie card for your home course yet, like, what are you doing? It's such a quality product for such a cheap price. It's like 10 bucks, and if you use my link in the description, it's literally 9 bucks. Now, this is a little bit of an interesting hole for this experience, because it's 105 meters finishing right. I don't want to just blast a forehand down the middle like I usually do, and also I don't want to like power up and smash it to get to the 105 meter mark. So what if, with this launcher US, I was able to just put it up there on a good angle and utilize the disc panning to flat and everything to gain the distance that I need and actually make it in there. Just try and smooth it up there on an anhyzer and try to get it nose down. I think the majority for me will be to just get a high release point, and I should be able to do it. Okay, I think I needed it to go a little bit wider to begin with in order to pan all the way in there. But it ended up being a pretty decent flex over the top, and might have hit the top Christmas trees, but let's see about it. So like I said, there is an actual reason why I've been thinking a lot about this topic lately, and that is because this off season, I've been working a lot on my distance and trying to work on my backhand form, like throwing into my net at home. And one of the things that I've realized, like one difficulty that I have, is that when I try to speed up things, I need a disc for this. I seem to drag my hand in front of the disc like this, which means that I will just pull the disc around here and get at a release point like way down here, and never really get the disc to pivot around my fingers like this. So that results in less spin, more grip locks, and more hyzer. And I can't seem to get the release point way out here the same way that I do when I go for like a slow putter shot. I want to try and experiment a little bit with that, you know, trying to power down and make sure to let the disc do its work around my fingers. Make sure to get that spin and snap from that part, and then speed it up afterwards. At least that's my thought, but it seems to be a lot harder than you would want it to be. I think my disc got stuck in like these trees here. Well, let me go find it. It ended up taking a bit of time to find the disc, so I turned off the camera to not run out of the battery. But interesting here, I couldn't find it because it was actually significantly shorter than I expected. So that's an interesting little thought to keep in mind here. If I just go slower and don't change anything on my form, it seems from that throw alone that the disc does not go farther, but in fact a little bit shorter than expected. Obviously that is a really small sample size, one shot, but just keep that in mind. But now I'm gonna try to focus on this specific thing with keeping my hand on the other side of the disc away from my body for as long as possible through my pull through, because that's the part that I'm struggling with when I throw fast, because I just end up pulling the disc around like this, and it results in less spin and less snap and not a defined release point. So one of the things that I realized when I throw putters slow and smooth, because I only need to throw like 40 meters, is that I actually focus on this wrist thing, and they seem to leave my hand a lot earlier than with a full power drive. And I think it's because it gets to this point and it snaps out by itself, which is something I'm looking for from my distance drives. So I'm just gonna kind of act like I'm trying to keep the disc in my hand and in this little pocket here for as long as possible and see if it wants to get out by itself. Going launcher US, this is 100 meters slightly uphill. I definitely felt it ripping out of my hand a little more aggressively than usual, but I think I needed to hold onto it tighter for the last bit of snap to get through. That was interesting. Let's try some more of that. Little forehand run here. Oh, that looked in from here.
We'll get right back to the video, but first I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which might just be the greatest disc golf event in Danish history. It's called the Danish Disc Golf Experience, and it's a 3-day tournament held on 4 different courses at August 16th through 18th. They'll be offering divisions for every single skill level and every age group, so it's a perfect opportunity for you to take your entire family on a little disc golf holiday. Like the name implies, the Danish Disc Golf Experience is actually way more than just a tournament. And that's because there will be a tournament central the entire weekend and the week leading up to it, offering an opportunity for you to set up a tent or your camper or whatever you're staying in. And every day there will be breakfast and dinner and even a party dinner at Saturday night, as well as a ton of events for you to enjoy and connect with other disc golfers, such as glow tournaments, trilogy challenge, distance competitions, putting competitions, a mini disc golf course, really just anything that you can think of if I say disc golf festival. This is supposed to be an international event, so whether you're from Denmark or Finland or Kenya, whatever you're from, this is an opportunity for you to try out some of Denmark's nicest courses, all while making new friends and experiencing the Danish disc golf culture. If you want to read more about the event or just sign up right away, go to the link in the description and I'll see you out there. Now, back to the video.
Now, there's a lot of headwind here and the wingman is a little bit flippy, so I need to put this one on hyzer. Now, let's try and test the same thing that we did before with getting out into this position and see if it actually wants to rip out on hyzer, because usually when I'm throwing hyzers, it has more trouble getting out of my hand. It's my experience. Let's try it. Yeah, that was kind of a little bit of my experience again, that I ended up holding onto it longer than I wanted. We'll have to try that some more. Fortunately, this video is not about putting. 95 meter straight shot here. I'm gonna try and go left of this little tree in the middle. I'm gonna be very specific with the line I'm going for here, so we can actually see if I hit my line more than I don't, or more than I do when I usually throw really fast. Really fast. I'm gonna try and put it on a slight hyzer angle. In the little gap there, straight at the basket, let it flip over a little bit and then finish straight again. Okay. I hit my line, like the direction that I was aiming, but I ended up putting it on more hyzer than I wanted and a little bit nose up. But, you know, that might be a hand thing. It definitely feels different the way it rips out of my hand. But I still have yet to figure out if it's better or worse. Oh, that's really smart, really YouTuber-like to go right in the gap that I'm filming in. I'm just gonna say that it went in because you guys couldn't see anything anyways. But seriously, it was right in front of it. This hole is like a pure hyzer, only 72 meters, but you need to get it pretty far left and over some trees. It's gonna be hard for you guys to judge whether I hit my line or not, but basically if it leaves your frame to the right, I definitely grip locked it. I'm going, let's say, right over this dead tree or little stick right in front of me here. Right over that on this amount of hyzer and nose down. Not full power, but I mean, we're never going full power in this video. But now you know right about where I'm trying to aim it. See if we can hit that line. Okay, I may have needed to put it a little bit higher. Missed my line by like half a meter to the right, but on the right angle, pretty nose down. Felt pretty good about that one. Let's actually just do a little accuracy test. See if I can hit the stick right in front of me here with my tree hitting Pacific. Okay, it's literally just like, it's determined. It's definitely better. Slower is smoother. Okay, we have another little accuracy challenge here. Very small gap to the basket. It's a little bit right of the gap that you see. But let's try to put it, start it on the left side of the gap here and turn it in there with my Pacific, I think. So I'll try to put it flat on the left side, let it turn by itself into the gap, and then land flat in there. Usually, when I say that I want to shoot left of the gap and then let it turn in there, I end up throwing it a little bit right of the gap, and it's kind of just flipping up into it and fading left. That's like my usual problem. I may have to focus on my hand angle here, because it seems that when I'm just focusing on getting into this position, once it pops out a little bit nose up, because I'm not controlling my hand. It's kind of doing it by itself. So I'm gonna try and, I don't know how to do this. How do you control your hand while letting it be loose and kind of activating itself? Because I want to get up to this angle here, right, where my hand kind of pours the coffee, as they say. Oh, that's so snappy. Oh, that's gone. That went down the hill a little bit on the right. I ended up grip locking it a little bit, but got it on the right angle and it was nose down. I don't know if you heard it, but it kind of had the same like snappy sound as I do when I throw putters with my fan grip. That's very interesting. If I can reproduce that shot right there, we might have something. We've made it to the genius hole of Denmark. Back in the days, this was a white tee. But then at some point, somebody realized, wait, what if we put the tee up here? Would that make the hole, like, so much better? They literally built out this entire tee pad. Looks so cool. Can we just appreciate the time and effort it has taken to build out this awesome looking tee pad and making this hole like 7 times better? Now, I don't want this channel to be about politics or anything like that, so I'm going to keep this short. But not too long ago, the Environmental Agency of Denmark started a war against Danish disc golf by claiming that these bricks that the tee pad is made of is somehow a hazard to the nature of this giant area. They initially themselves approved these materials to making tee pads, and that's why they spent so much time building it out here. And now they have kindly asked the disc golf club to take them away and said that that will be the new standard for forest disc golf here in Denmark, which is absolutely tragic. We lose most of our tee pads. It's already pretty hard for us to get tee pads in and just in general get to make courses here. If you see a problem in this, which I definitely do, right now we're collecting signatures to show that a lot of people love this place and it's really necessary for the Danish disc golf to keep growing the way that it has. So many people who might usually have stayed inside has gone outside and gotten their steps in by playing disc golf every single week due to this awesome sport of disc golf. And we need to start acknowledging that and appreciating it. Thank you for your support. Go to the link in the description if you want to add your signature to the list and help us out. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get back to the video with this awesome hole that is also, in my opinion, the hardest on the course. You can see some trees out in the distance. Those are kind of guarding the basket. The basket is that way, all the way behind it. It's a par 4. First shot, you want to go straight down this middle section. And it's a pretty narrow fairway that you need to land it in. So it's very like accuracy with distance. Distance with accuracy kind of hole. And definitely one that I struggled with in the past. I'm going to try and, use our new method, going slow, and putting this one on a slight anhyzer in the top of this gap. And hopefully it will flatten out and stay in the middle of the fairway. Really, the majority of the thing that we're looking for in this shot is just the release point. Are we able to get it on a little bit of anhyzer to begin with and in the gap? Okay, we failed. That's one for the bad guys. This next hole here obviously might just be the best testing grounds for this exact topic. Therefore, we're going to throw a couple of different shots here. I'm going to throw a putter, a mid, a fairway, and a distance driver with the slow and smooth form. And then we're gonna test it against a couple of throws from like my normal form. See if I gain distance or accuracy. However that's gonna be. Let's just start with the putter. Go with the zoom. Make sure to go slow. Get it into that power pocket or deep pocket. Let it rip out itself. That was pretty piped. A little bit too much hyzer, but a lot of spin, really clean release, and right in the middle of the gap. That was pretty nice. Time for the mid-range. Also pretty clean, a little bit on the right, a little bit too much hyzer, but I'll say that definitely passes the test. Pretty good throw. Going with the Pacific here for the fairway driver. Okay. So fairway driver, a couple of times I have missed the release with the fairway driver, which is interesting, but let's go for distance drive as well. Launcher US. That was better. It was in the gap and it kind of ripped out by itself, but a little bit too much hyzer and a little bit nose up. Now let's go for a putter with the old form, or I shouldn't say old form, my like actual form. Gonna go with another zoom. This one is a little bit more flippy, so we'll put it on a little bit of hyzer. Okay, that's another pipe job. I only have one good mid-range for this hole, so I'm gonna go with a fairway driver here. See, there's that little bit of extra hyzer and the grip lock that I usually get when I try to go a little bit too fast. I will say though, that is right in the middle of the yellow tee pad. And then when I get into that rhythm of grip locking my drives a little bit because I'm going too fast, instead I start focusing on, I gotta make sure to get it out here and get the release out here. And that is when I start pulling my hand out the front of the disc. That's like the usual thing that happens throughout my rounds. Yep. There it is, that hyzer nose up thing. Dude, this is so classic. I definitely like the slow and smooth form better for hitting a gap like this with still keeping a lot of power, I feel. This is super interesting and a little bit revolutionary for me. Okay, it's time for the distance competition between my fast throwing form, which is the usual one, and this new slow and smooth kind of thing. See if it actually is farther and smoother and better, or if I actually lose distance by doing it. I've paired up a couple of discs against each other. I'm gonna throw 4 throws with each method, starting out with 2 launcher OSs. Now this one is a little bit more overstable than this one, so it might be harder to get it far. But I'm gonna switch the advantages between fast form and slow form to make it fair. First advantage goes to the fast form. So we're gonna start with slow form with this most overstable launcher OS. Gonna need to flex it here. Okay, I didn't get the flex. I didn't get the angle right. That is interesting. Hey, might be the same thing for my fast form. Let's try the other launcher OS. Going with my normal, little bit faster form. I'm gonna try and put this one on anhyzer as well. This tee pad is a little bit slick because it's wet, so I'm a little bit scared, but not enough to not be able to put it on anhyzer. Come on. Okay, so that's definitely farther, I think. I mean, we're gonna look at the distances after we've thrown all of them. Let's move on to the launchers. This is the most stable of the launchers. Go fast form with this one. Still needs to put a little bit of anhyzer on it with this one. Didn't get anhyzer out of the hand, but it actually flipped over a little bit. That's a pretty far shot. It's gonna be hard to beat. Fortunately, I have another launcher. This one's a little bit more beat in. And there's a little bit of headwind. I guess that's what turned it over a little bit. We're going slow form here. Try and focus on getting out into that power pocket and see if it will curl out itself. That is a perfect flight. Nose down and everything. Definitely put a lot less effort into that one. Oh, it hit like into one of the boxes in the middle. That was pretty cool. Very interested to see the result from those. Now we have a Grace and a launcher US, because I only have one launcher US with me. This one will be the fast form. Wait, no, this will be a slow form. Again, we hit the perfect angle for a full distance flight. Didn't get any skip though, because it barely got out into the high grass. But that's really good. Really good angle, very little effort. Go a little bit faster with the launcher US. Still needs a little bit of hyzer, I think. I got slightly too much hyzer, which took away a little bit of distance, but felt like the speed was a little bit faster. Now, final disc for both methods. We're going fast with the Pacific OS against the normal Pacific for the slow form. This one needs to get flat. This one's pretty beat up, so it's like a new Pacific pretty much. Okay, actually didn't flip much. Let's try slow form with the Pacific. Flip more, a little more. I thought it was a good angle, but it didn't turn as much as I anticipated. Let's go have a look at these distances. This will be really interesting. Okay, so right off the bat here, the first thing we reach is the Pacific OS. This one went 97 meters, and the Pacific is out here a little bit more on the left, but also slightly further, I think. Actually, also 97 meters. So that was about the same difference, yeah, the same distance. And then the next bid is the Launcher OS, which is also right around the 98 meter mark. And this is where we see the first difference. The fast form actually made it 10 meters farther here with the Launcher OS. I will say I got it on a much better angle, but that's also part of distance competitions. One up for the fast form here. And then out here at a whopping 113 meters, we have the Launcher US, which was also the fast form. Let me see if I can find the grace. That went the other way. And we have the grace right here. 100 meters straight up. So actually 13 meters shorter, even though these two kind of had the same like really good distance line. Maybe the Launcher US even had a worse distance line, but just more speed. So it seems that throwing faster or going faster is actually going to give me more distance. We have one left to show here, and that will be the launchers, in which we have the most stable launcher thrown by fast guy, and it went like 2 meters farther than slow guy. So in every single case, throwing faster made the disc go either same distance or further. So to conclude this video, I think there is maybe a middle ground, because it did seem that I got more accuracy and a more like consistent release point in the woods going slow rather than going my normal speed. But I did also lose about 5 to 10 meters on my distance shots with the extremes that I was willing to go to here. I will say I definitely removed more than 10% off my effort on the slow speed. So what if I, instead of going 95%, went to 85%? I think in this case, let's say I went like 60 or something, 65. What if I found that middle ground with going like 80%, 85% power and still being able to get into that nice power pocket and focusing on the form? I feel like there's definitely some distance even to gain in that situation, because I do need to figure out a way to get that pivot around my hand, which I do not feel like I'm getting on my normal throws at the moment. To finish off this video, I want to film a little slow motion of fast and slow form, and then we can analyze that in post. Over to post, Andrew.
Okay, here we go. We've got the two slow-mos side by side. The fast form is on the left and the slow form is on the right. Let's just play through it first and see if you guys can spot any difference. There you go. Did you spot the difference? Did you see it? No, neither did I. And that's the really interesting thing about form work, is that it feels significantly different when you throw the two different styles here, or when I do. But then when I see it in slow motion, there seems to be basically no difference at all. And that's muscle memory kicking in right there. And that just speaks to the fact that you can't just change your entire form in one day by making one decision. No, you need to actually work it into your form for it to be a significant difference. Although, there is a little bit of difference, and I want to talk about it because it is actually interesting. I want to show you the 3 different main positions that you have in your form, in my opinion. This is the first one. Max reach back, very, very similar, but both coming in a little bit too early. Definitely something I need to work on, getting my foot planted before I have my peak reach back. Plant, Get in there. Boom, power pocket. There we go. Hand on the outside of the disc. I think this is honestly pretty similar and no difference at all. A little bit farther into the pocket. I think here, and this is where it starts getting interesting. Might be really hard to see and I could be wrong, but it seems like on my right side here, this hand is a little bit more on the outside of the disc than it is over here. Over here, it's already a little bit on the way in front of the disc, which is what this video was about. Now move on to the third important point, which is the last point of contact. That'll be right here. In this situation, and it'll be hard to see here, but I'll show it in a little bit. On my left side, I've already let go of the disc here, or the disc has already slipped out pretty much. And the hand has kind of opened up here, making way for the disc to come through. But on the right side, my hand is still tucked a little bit. Like my wrist hasn't opened, even though the disc has kind of pivoted around and is on the way out of the hand. So it does seem like I hold on to the disc a little bit longer on my slow form here than on the fast form. Okay, let's now talk about release point. I've slowed it down by 4 times more. So now you can really see when the disc leaves my hand. You can see it by when it starts wobbling. You can see when the disc starts wobbling, that's when it's like pivoted out of my hand, right? So let's look at the left side over here. Look at when it starts wobbling. In my opinion, it's there. This is pretty much the last frame before it starts wobbling. So this is where it leaves the hand. Where, if you look on the right side, let's go through that one and see when that starts wobbling. I feel like it's very defined when it leaves my hand here. Like boom, right there. At the very end. You can see right now it's pivoting out of my hand and it's still under control. My finger is still under the disc and the disc is making its way around it and actually pivoting around my hand. So to conclude this little post-video slow motion, in my opinion, not a lot has changed. I definitely thought it would look way different than it does when I was throwing them because it felt way different. But there is definitely a little bit of tweak on that release point and like getting a little bit deeper into the pocket and the disc actually pivoting around my hand, which was the goal of this video. So that leads me to wonder, what if I worked on this specific form piece for the next week or so? Would I be able to get the perfect release point or the perfect pivot around my hand and then speed it up to like 80% rather than 65? I believe so, maybe. I'm going to definitely try and work a little bit more on this, and I believe that there's some distance to gain. So to answer the question, no, slow isn't necessarily smooth, but going slow is the way to getting smooth, but it requires a lot of practice. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know which form piece you want me to make a little experiment on next time. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2 days.